Welcome back to Past and Present, the place where we dive into the strange, wonderful, and sometimes downright bizarre corners of our shared past. Today, we're opening the doors to the 1970s home, a world of shag carpets, avocado green kitchens, and some of the weirdest home appliances you've probably never seen before. The 1970s were a decade obsessed with convenience, innovation, and futuristic living. Every company wanted to make life easier, faster, and a little more stylish, but along the way, a few inventions turned out to be, well, let's just say they didn't stand the test of time. So grab your fondue fork and your best polyester shirt, because we're about to explore 10 of the weirdest 1970s home appliances we don't use anymore. Let's start with number 10. Number 10, the combination radio toaster. Yes, you heard that right. Someone thought it was a good idea to combine a radio and a toaster into one device. In the mid-1970s, several companies released models that promised to help you wake up to music and breakfast at the same time. Imagine, you set your toast, tune into your favorite AM station, and enjoy the smell of slightly burned bread while listening to disco. The idea was pure 70s, multitasking, space-saving, and futuristic. But in practice, crumbs and electronics didn't mix very well. The radio circuits would get clogged and the toaster parts often overheated. Most of them ended up in the trash after a few months. Still, it's a perfect example of how the decade dreamed of merging technology and comfort, sometimes without thinking it all the way through. Number 9, the electric egg cooker. Now, technically, egg cookers still exist, but in the 1970s, they were a whole phenomenon. Every kitchen catalogue had one. They came in funky colours, orange, brown, or avocado green, and were shaped like UFOs or mini coffee pots. The promise was simple: perfectly boiled eggs without having to use a stove. You just added water, placed your eggs inside, and waited for a strange buzzing noise that told you breakfast was ready. In theory, it was convenient. In reality, the results were unpredictable. Half the time, you'd end up with eggs that were either raw or exploded inside the chamber. And let's not forget the smell: burnt sulfur and melted plastic. By the 1980s, most people quietly returned to using a saucepan. Number 8, the electric knife. Ah yes, the electric knife, a staple of every 70s kitchen counter, especially during Thanksgiving. The commercials promised smooth, effortless slicing. Bread, turkey, roast beef, you name it. It looked futuristic, sounded powerful, and made you feel like a surgeon preparing for dinner. But here's the thing. Did anyone really need an electric knife? Not really. Most users found it bulky, loud, and hard to clean. The two metal blades would often slip out mid-cut, creating more danger than convenience. Still, for a short while, the electric knife was the ultimate symbol of modern living, because why use muscle when electricity can do it for you? Number 7, the salad shooter. Here's a device that sounds like a toy, but was absolutely real. Introduced in the late 1970s, the salad shooter was designed to slice and shred vegetables straight into your bowl. It was a kind of early food processor, but handheld, loud, clunky, and prone to shooting lettuce across the kitchen like confetti. It had its fans, though. The commercials made it look like a miracle gadget for busy housewives who wanted a fresh salad in seconds. But between the mess, the cleanup, and the awkward design, it quickly fell out of favour. Still, if you see one at a thrift shop today, it's hard not to smile at its goofy charm. Number 6, the popcorn maker with butter reservoir. Now this one screams 1970s movie night. Before the microwave popcorn boom of the 80s, you had countertop popcorn machines that used hot air or oil. But the 70s models were something else. They came with little butter tanks that slowly melted and dripped down onto your popcorn as it popped. It sounded delicious, but the execution was greasy, to say the least. The butter would clog, the motor would smoke, and you'd spend half your evening cleaning oily residue off the walls. Still, families loved the ritual. The hum of the machine, the smell of hot butter, and the anticipation of watching Jaws on TV. That was 70s comfort at its finest. Number 5, the avocado green blender chopper combo. Blenders existed long before the 70s, of course, but that decade turned them into fashion icons. Every kitchen appliance had to match the decor, usually in avocado green, harvest gold, or burnt orange. But beyond the colours, 70s blenders tried to be all-in-one machines. Some had meat grinding attachments, dough hooks, even mini juicers built in. The problem? The motors weren't built for that kind of abuse. Many of them would burn out or explode mid-use, sending milkshakes or tomato pulp all over the counter. But hey, at least they looked good while doing it. Number 4. The cigarette roller or tabletop ashtray vacuum. This one is peak 1970s. Back when smoking indoors was totally normal, the home gadget industry catered to smokers with some truly bizarre inventions. One of the strangest was the automatic ashtray vacuum. A little motorized bowl that sucked up your ashes when you pressed a button. It even had a built-in fan to purify the air. Then there were the cigarette rollers, electric devices that promised perfectly rolled smokes in seconds. These were marketed as modern tools for sophisticated adults. Looking back, they're more of a window into how different attitudes towards smoking used to be. Number 3. The countertop rotisserie oven. Before the modern air fryer craze, people in the 70s were fascinated by tabletop rotisserie cookers. Brands like Ronco made them famous with late-night TV commercials, featuring spinning chickens under golden heat lamps. These ovens claimed to roast anything: chicken, fish, even pineapple. They looked futuristic, like something out of the Jetsons, but they were slow, messy, and impossible to clean. The glass doors fogged up with grease, and you'd often end up with half-cooked meat and a kitchen that smelled like smoke for days. Still, set it and forget it was an iconic line born from those infomercials decades before it became a meme. Number 2, the vibrating bed. Yes, people really bought vibrating beds. Some hotels had them first, and then home versions followed. The concept was marketed as therapeutic relaxation through vibration. You'd drop a coin or press a switch, and the bed would buzz gently or violently beneath you. It was supposed to relieve stress and help circulation, but in reality, it mostly made people dizzy. They were noisy, power-hungry, and prone to breaking down. Some even caught fire. By the early 1980s, most vibrating beds were either unplugged or sent to the curb. Still, they perfectly capture that 70s optimism about technology, the belief that electricity could make every part of life a little better, even your nap. And finally, number 1. The portable hair dryer bonnet. This might just be the weirdest looking contraption of them all. Picture this. A plastic bonnet connected by a tube to a small, noisy air blower that sat on your vanity. Women, and sometimes men, would put on the bonnet, flip the switch, and wait as warm air inflated around their head like a bubble. It was the home version of a salon hairdryer, and it looked absolutely ridiculous. But in the 1970s, it was considered ultra-modern. You could do your makeup, read a magazine, or smoke a cigarette while your hair dried hands-free. Unfortunately, it took ages to work and often overheated. Still, it's hard not to smile at the image of millions of people sitting under these plastic domes, thinking they were living in the future. Bonus mention, the fondue set. Technically not weird, but undeniably 70s. No party was complete without a bubbling pot of cheese or chocolate in the middle of the table. Every appliance company made their own version, some electric, some using candles or fuel. It wasn't strange exactly, just a cultural icon that has almost vanished today. But nothing says 1970s home entertainment quite like a fondue night surrounded by friends in bell-bottoms. So there you have it, 10 of the weirdest 1970s home appliances we don't use anymore. They remind us of a time when people were excited about progress, when every new gadget felt like a peek into the future, even if that future sometimes involved exploding blenders or buzzing beds. The 1970s were bold, colourful, and unafraid to experiment, and that spirit still influences design today. Maybe not in the form of avocado toasters or radio ovens, but in the idea that technology can make home life better, funnier, and a little more human. Thanks for watching Past and Present. If you enjoyed this trip back to the 1970s, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We've got plenty more nostalgic deep dives coming your way. What's the weirdest vintage gadget you've ever seen? Tell us in the comments below. Until next time, keep looking back because sometimes the past was way stranger than the future.